Hi y'all, this is the September collective tarot reading. I will do some personalized for the element readings later in the month, but it feels like we're all collectively experiencing pretty much the same energy, so I thought I would just do one reading for all of us right now. Something to note is that we have begun Virgo season, and Virgo is a very pious and inward focused sign. That's why so many of the Virgo placements that you know are able to execute with such eloquence and with such specific steps and with such a long-term plan. Because we've entered that season, you may notice that your productivity is engaged and that you're able to put a lot out. I want to encourage you, especially for the month of September, while we have majority Virgo energy, to really take advantage of the days on which you feel like you can produce a lot or can get things done, because the rest of the year is a little topsy-turvy in terms of astrology, and to be very honest with you, so is 2026, and this is a really good time to put long-term plans into place. We have also just re-entered eclipse season. We are currently in the Virgo Pisces eclipse axis. The next thing that we have coming is on September 7th, 2025, and it's the lunar eclipse in conjunction with the North Node in Pisces. So I have done horoscopes for that on my Patreon. They'll be on my Instagram later this week. And I have done a little rundown of what eclipses mean and specifically how this lunar eclipse in Pisces will affect you. But that is largely the energy I think that I'm picking up with this pull, because the lunar eclipse will affect us deeply for the month of September. And it will dictate really the next 6 months of whatever is ruled by Pisces in your chart. If you want a personal reading and want more information about how this will affect you, my personal readings are open, and right now you can use the code WORTHY to get 10% off any reading on my website. I've also uploaded an Affirmation Rampage download that I highly suggest you listen to every day in the month of September to get yourself in the right mindset, so that as outer chaos ensues, inner peace pursues. Okay, so for September, I've pulled 5 cards. We have the Six of Swords reversed, we have the Ace of Swords reversed, the High Priestess, Death, and Two of Cups reversed. The thing that stuck out to me immediately about this pull was how highlighted privacy is. And that is on par with Virgo season. It is very, don't let anybody know what you're doing until it's done energy. I think a lot of us have expended excess energy trying to tell everybody what we're doing and trying to think out loud. And there is a time and a place for that. It's just not now. It's not an eclipse season. Everything is shrouded. We are meant to keep our individual aspirations to ourselves, especially if it is the thing that you want the most and you are having a hard time matching your subconscious level of worthiness with the affirmation. If it's something that you want so much but you haven't yet ramped up your belief in yourself or your self-esteem enough to match the frequency of it, it's never a good idea to tell other people about it, because all it will do before you've repatterned your subconscious is affirm to you that you can't accomplish that thing. Sometimes when you're telling people about a goal, it's because you're searching for someone to say, oh, really? You think you can do that? And not so you can prove them wrong, so that you can prove yourself right, that you weren't ever cut out for it. So keeping that in mind, you want to treat September with secrecy, and you want to make sure that the things that you do are just for yourself, because there's also something to be said for how exciting a goal is to you if you're not talking about it. Is it exciting enough to you that you're working on it on your own? If not, it's probably not the right thing to be working towards. So that's another thing to whittle down. Okay, so that was the first thing that stuck out to me. Just private journeys, secret plans, maybe clandestine meetings. Six of Swords reversed is very much about a private journey that's leading to a spiritual awakening. When we're talking about the Six of Swords upright, we are usually talking about you gathering everybody and then going. But Six of Swords reversed is more, I'm so sorry, I have to do this way. This is ultimately what's best for both of us energy. It's also the energy of, right? Because we're thinking about this Virgo energy too. The energy of having to take the night shift and not really getting to see your kids or your partner. It's having to do something that might take you away from the people and things that you love, but it's for the sake of your future, and therefore is for the sake of everybody's future. That's the Six of Swords reversed, just something that is a little private and that is for you and you alone. And also just playing your cards very close to the vest and not really divulging what it is that you're working on this month, just doing it. So then we have the Ace of Swords reversed. Again, this is a very private journey. This is the budding of an idea in your brain that is exciting, but you don't really know how to execute. And your impulse might normally be to ask for help or to Google it or to seek something outside of yourself. But this month, I really challenge you to just sit down in the discomfort of silence and see what comes to you. That idea was born of you, so see what else you can do to come up with it, and then utilize the resources that you need after that. But don't sell yourself short. A Virgo is not selling themselves short of anything. And in September, you are going to get a lot of ideas that mean something to you. You're just not sure what yet. So play it close to the vest, sit in silence and let ideas land. And trust your intuition, which leads me to the next card, which is the High Priestess. This is the first major arcana card we have here. It's also really on the nose because the High Priestess is the card of intuition, and we're talking a lot about this lunar eclipse in Pisces energy. Pisces also represents psychics and intuitives. And this top row, the Six of Swords reversed, this Ace of Swords reversed, and this High Priestess are saying, you're right, you do have to go on this journey, and it is a journey that you have to take by yourself. The truth is that every day, every moment of your life is your own journey, and that's why your head has to be the most hospitable place on the planet, because if it's not, you will never feel at home with anything, you will never feel fulfilled. And this High Priestess is saying your intuition is really strong and you know the kind of stuff that you should be doing and what your output could be. But Pisces, it's like trying to put water into a Ziploc bag for storage. Like, it's not the right container and it is going to make everything a mess. And so you want to just really tune in. It really feels like S words are important this month. September, solitude, secrecy. You want to really sit with yourself every day and meditate and really tune into what your intuition is telling you. I will also say for this month, as the chaos unfolds, your intuition is going to be so important, because it's going to be important that you can remind yourself, that your inner being can remind your outer being that you are safe and that everything is going according to the plan, and that you are actually strong enough and have enough conviction to help, and that you don't have to stick your head in the sand, which is a common symptom of Pisces placements. They tend to avoid conflict, or they tend to just amorphously blob their way around a conflict, and that's not what is congruent with the energy of September. This is very much I'm going to educate myself on it, and I'm going to be pure about it. Virgo is the virgin, and we are entering a very dangerous period of purity and things needing to be pure, and it can feel like your own creativity is being stifled, and you may feel the impulse to stifle your own creativity so that you can fit in a little bit more and fit more into the mold. And that is the enemy of your destiny right now. So in September, you really want to listen to your intuition, do everything you can to hone your intuition. I also have a reading that I offer called the Spiritual Path reading, which is if you are an intuitive or you feel that you're starting to really need to figure out what your intuitive power is and how to better use your intuition, and you need help with like specific manifestation methods, that is a really good reading to get. And it's one of my favorites to give because spirituality it's just my favorite thing to talk about. So then let's talk about this second row with 2 cards. So I think this top row about needing to keep things to yourself, having a private journey, doing what you need to do on a daily basis to stay consistent while everything around you is rumbling and rolling. I think it's a product of what happens, which I think is these 2 cards. So we have the Death card and 2 of Cups reversed. So death is death. It is not usually literal. I know that lots of people are hoping it is. It could be. I have really come to learn and understand that the occult is not supposed to be used for death predictions or even really talking about death in that way, like trying to predict something like that isn't super productive. That's the disclaimer. That being said, I do think this month carries a lot of death with it. I honestly, it's 7:53 p.m. on Sunday, August 31st. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a toll at midnight kind of thing. I think there are a lot of people that are at a point where this card might be relevant. And I also think, unfortunately, that it will continue, especially because Pluto has just gone out of bounds for the first time since the start of World War II. I think it also indicates a lot of continuing senseless death. However, on a spiritual level, this Death card for the collective in September is about us just letting everything go. This lunar eclipse and eclipse season in general is really just about like truly releasing the expectations you have around anything and seeing what life has to offer you every day. And that involves a lot of ego death. There's a lot of ego death that's going to go into the next 18 months while the places and comforts that we have had are restructured, and it's going to be really important that you are able to keep your head on straight. And it's also going to be important that you remember periodically throughout the month that ultimately this isn't real. Ultimately, this is the temporary thing, and death is the permanent thing. But because we have time and consider things within the parameters of time, it's really hard for us to remember and understand that. So this month, don't get distracted by death, and try not to forget that's all anything is ever leading to, which is more of a reason for you to focus up and start to put out the things that you want to put out in the world, because there's never going to be a better time. And what you put out doesn't have to be perfect. If you've been with me for a while on Patreon, you know that I'll just put out what I feel I need to put out, and I'll learn how to do something to the best of my ability and then put it out, and then I'll get better at it as I go. But ultimately, that's not what you guys care about. You care about just getting the readings, right? And connecting. And it's the same thing for your creative output and your output in general. We just want you. We don't really need any frills. So yeah, so don't get distracted by death. Let your ego die this month. And because we are in eclipse season, should death be an experience that you have this month, just know that your path is still unfolding the way that it is supposed to unfold. It's not really striking me as this being like an individual within the collective thing. I really think this is just us getting battered with the message that the old way has to die and that we have to adjust or die. And then finally, we have the Two of Cups reversed. So again, this is like a one-sided journey. This could be somebody that's just not really feeling a relationship anymore. You might have moved into a period of isolation within your partnerships and relationships. But again, collectively, the energy is such that it's the right time for us all to be going inward and starting a cleanup from the inside out. So it is very likely that people you've been very close to, partners that you've been with for a long time, jobs that you've been involved in for a long time will very suddenly leave, and it won't make sense to you. It might feel, I do think for some of you, this is going to be a marriage or a long-term partnership, because Two of Cups is pretty specifically a relationship card, but it could just be something. Some of us love our jobs more than we've ever loved a person. It's losing something that feels a little shocking. It's the death of that thing, and not the human part of it, but like the death of that relationship or that dynamic. For some of us, it could be really good news. It might just be like that old dynamic is done. Let's move ahead. Let's make Virgo a long-term plan. But the Two of Cups reversed is also very much about breakups and separations. So especially paired with the first card, the Six of Swords reversed, you just might not be in a place right now where you can provide companionship for somebody else, and that's okay. It ebbs and flows. You don't have to do that if you don't have the capacity. But because this lunar eclipse is in Pisces and that rules delusion and sticking your head in the sand, you just have to make sure that it's fair and that you actually know how you feel about it before you take any impulsive action, because the things that leave and enter during eclipse season are pretty permanent. So any fissure that's created during an eclipse season is very likely to be permanent. So just to recap, I think this is a month of solitude for most of us, and I think everybody just has their own thing to embrace and to play close to the vest. And I think that it's going to be largely about trusting your inner voice and remembering that even though everything around you is chaotic, you are not, and you can take care of yourself. I also will say, I think another S word for September is sober. At least don't drink. I don't think drinking during eclipse season is smart, but especially right now, it's just not a good idea to depress yourself. You're going to want to be up. You're going to want to be hype. And I think there's going to be a lot about this month that you want to remember in HD. Be present. Let's participate in September together. And above all, let's just do our best. Bye.